Picture this. You meet someone new, and instantly it feels electric. Their presence pulls you like a tide. Your mind says, "Be careful," but your body says, "This is fate." You stay up all night talking, laughing, feeling as if you've known them forever. It's not just attraction, it's intoxication. Days later, you're already imagining a future together. Weeks later, you're entangled. And months later, the dream begins to rot. The same person who once felt like destiny now feels like disaster. And yet, when it ends, you find yourself asking, why does this always happen to me? Why am I drawn to people who hurt me, betray me, consume me? Jung observed this paradox in countless patients. The stronger the attraction, the more dangerous the relationship often became. The ones we call soulmates often turn out to be the ones who break us open. To Jung, this was no accident. The intensity of attraction is not proof of destiny, it's proof of projection. When you meet someone and feel overwhelmed by their energy, as if they've stolen your soul, what's really happening is that you've poured a piece of your unconscious into them. They are magnetic because they are carrying something of yours. Your repressed anger, your denied passion, your hidden power, your buried vulnerability, projected outward, embodied in another. You're not falling in love with them. You're falling in love with the part of yourself you've exiled. This is why wrong people feel irresistible. They sing with the siren song of your shadow, the lover who is wild, reckless, unfaithful. They may be carrying the recklessness you buried long ago. The one who feels cruel or cold may embody the selfishness you never let yourself admit. The psyche doesn't care if they destroy you. It only cares that you see what you've denied. And so you chase them. You rationalize their cruelty. You confuse obsession with love. You tell yourself, this must be real. Nothing has ever felt so strong. But Jung would shake his head. The strength of the feeling is not a sign of wholeness. It's a sign of fragmentation. It's the unconscious screaming through attraction. Look at what you've buried. Look at what you've projected. The people who feel most magnetic often carry the pieces of your soul you've abandoned. The stronger the pull, the more likely it is not destiny, but projection. Every person carries a shadow, the parts of ourselves we exile to the dark. Our rage, our selfishness, our hunger, our need. Jung taught that whatever we bury doesn't vanish, it waits. And one of the most common ways it returns is through the people we love. Think about the people who have broken your heart. What drew you to them? Was it their confidence, their independence, their danger? Often, the very traits that intoxicate us are the ones we've denied in ourselves. The quiet, careful person falls for the wild and reckless. The gentle, selfless one falls for the selfish and domineering. The orderly, responsible one falls for the chaotic and free. The shadow lover embodies what we repress. They are magnetic because they carry our disowned fire. This is why attraction to the wrong person feels like possession. It's not simply lust. It's not simply love. It's your shadow clawing back into your life through the figure of another. You don't just want them. You want the part of yourself they represent. Their presence awakens a hunger that belongs not to the relationship, but to your soul. But here lies the danger. Instead of integrating those traits within ourselves, we try to merge with the lover. We mistake their recklessness for the freedom we lack. We mistake their selfishness for the voice we never use. We mistake their chaos for the life we're too afraid to live. And because we don't recognize the projection, we hand them power. We excuse their betrayals, tolerate their cruelty, collapse under their absence. We confuse our soul's summons with their love. The result is devastation. Not because we loved, but because we tried to reclaim our shadow by consuming another person. The shadow lover is both gift and curse. They force us to confront what we've buried. But if we don't realize the game being played, they drag us into ruin. Jung would say, the shadow lover is not your destiny. They are your mirror. They are showing you what you must reclaim in yourself, not in them. The lover who intoxicates and destroys is often your shadow in disguise. They feel irresistible because they are carrying the parts of you you've denied. They will ruin you if you chase them, and heal you if you face what they represent. Some lovers feel like destiny, not because they mirror our shadow, but because they embody something deeper, the unlived half of our soul. Jung called these inner figures the Anima and the Animus. Inside, every man lives the Anima, the feminine image of his soul. She appears in dreams as a mysterious woman, sometimes radiant, sometimes terrifying. She is the man's connection to feeling, creativity, intuition, and love. Inside every woman lives the Animus, the masculine image of her soul. He appears as a lover, a hero, a critic, or a sage. He is her connection to strength, authority, reason, and conviction. These figures are not external. They are inner archetypes. But when unrecognized, they are projected onto lovers. When you meet someone who carries your anima or animus projection, the attraction is overwhelming. They feel like the missing piece, the long-lost half, the soulmate. But Jung warned, this intensity is not proof of destiny. It is proof of projection. You are not falling for them. You are falling for your own inner image, reflected in their face. This is why relationships built on anima or animus projections often collapse. No human being can carry the weight of someone else's soul image forever. The man who projects his anima onto a woman will worship her at first, but later condemn her when she fails to embody his dream. The woman who projects her animus onto a man will admire his strength, then resent his dominance when it overshadows her own. The lover cracks under the pressure of being someone else's archetype, and the dream turns to disillusionment. When you chase your anima or animus outside of yourself, you remain divided. You hand away your creativity, your strength, your inner balance, and expect another person to live it for you. The result? Obsession, dependence, heartbreak. Not because love itself is broken, but because you've mistaken your inner soul for another person's body. But there is another path. Instead of clinging to the projection, Jung urged us to reclaim the anima and animus within. The man who withdraws his anima projection discovers his own capacity for love, beauty, and feeling. The woman who withdraws her animus projection discovers her own authority, clarity, and power. And when both integrate these inner figures, love is no longer possession. It is recognition. Two whole souls, not two halves desperately seeking completion. The lover who feels like the one may not be your destiny. They may be your anima or animus in disguise. Until you claim these figures within, you will keep handing your soul away to others, only to watch them break under the weight. Why do people keep falling for the same type of lover, even after heartbreak? Why does the pattern repeat? Betrayal after betrayal, abandonment after abandonment, humiliation after humiliation. Jung had a chilling answer, because the wound itself is choosing. Every child carries unmet needs. The love withheld, the attention denied, the security shattered. Those wounds do not dissolve. They hide, becoming complexes that wait in the unconscious. And when you meet someone who echoes the original wound, the complex lights up. You don't just feel attraction, you feel recognition. Not of them, but of the wound they represent. The abandoned child finds the partner who pulls away. The criticized child finds the partner who belittles. The neglected child finds the partner who withholds. The heart calls it love. The psyche calls it repetition. This is why unhealthy love feels so intoxicating. The pain is familiar. The chaos feels like home. Deep down, the psyche believes, if I can win love from this person, I will finally heal the wound I couldn't heal as a child. But it never works, because the lover is not your parent, and the relationship is not your childhood. It is the complex, repeating itself like a broken record, hoping this time you'll notice the pattern. How many times have you heard someone say, I don't know why, but I'm always drawn to the same type? It feels like fate, like destiny, like some mysterious law of attraction. Jung revealed the darker truth. It is not fate. It is the unconscious seeking healing by dragging you back into the same wound. But until you face it consciously, the wound keeps choosing. Without awareness, the repetition continues. The lover who abandons, the lover who betrays, the lover who humiliates. And each time you think it's about them. But Jung would insist, it's about you. It's about the child inside you, still trying to win the love they were denied. Toxic attraction is often the wound repeating itself. The person you call destiny may simply be the complex pulling the strings. Until you face the wound within, you will keep loving its echo without. If toxic attraction is projection, if the wrong lover is the shadow in disguise, if the repetition of the wound is what keeps dragging you back, then how do you break free? Jung's answer was not to stop loving, but to love differently, with consciousness. Step 1. Recognize projection. The first step is awareness. Jung said, the meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed. But if the reaction feels like intoxication, ask, what am I seeing in them that I have not owned in myself? Projection is not evil, it is inevitable. But until you name it, you mistake it for destiny. Step 2. Withdraw the shadow. When you feel overwhelming attraction, pause and ask, what trait am I chasing in them that I deny in me? If you're pulled to their confidence, perhaps you've repressed your own voice. If you're drawn to their selfishness, perhaps you've denied your right to need. If you're captivated by their wildness, perhaps you've buried your freedom. Withdrawing projection means reclaiming these traits instead of outsourcing them to a lover. Step 3. Face the anima and animus. Jung believed one of the greatest traps of love was projecting the anima or animus outward. The soulmate you think you've found may only be your inner opposite, unrecognized. The cure is not to destroy the projection, but to develop it inside. Men must cultivate their anima, their own capacity for tenderness, creativity, vulnerability. Women must cultivate their animus, their own authority, clarity, and strength. When you meet these figures within, you stop demanding that others carry them for you. Step 4. Confront the complex. If you find yourself caught in the same toxic pattern again and again, Jung would say, stop blaming the lover, start facing the wound. Ask yourself, what part of my childhood am I reliving here? Write it down, speak it aloud, name the complex. Once you see it clearly, the spell breaks. You realize you are not cursed, you are repeating, and repetition can be stopped when consciousness intervenes. Step 5. Choose conscious love. The final step is to begin loving without possession or projection. This means seeing the other not as your missing piece, but as a whole being. It means saying, I see you, I love you, not because you complete me, but because I am already complete. And together, we choose to share. This is not the intoxication of the siren. It is the quiet power of real intimacy. To break the spell of toxic attraction, recognize projection, withdraw your shadow, meet your anima or animus within, and face the wound that repeats. Only then can love be chosen freely, not dictated by the unconscious. What happens when the projection fades? When you stop chasing your shadow in another's body? When you withdraw the anima or animus, when you face the wound instead of reenacting it? Jung believed this is when real love begins. Projection-based love is intoxicating. It blinds you. You don't see the person. You see your missing piece, your buried trait, your wounded child reflected back. That's why it feels like destiny. But it isn't recognition, it's illusion. When you withdraw projection, the fog lifts. You begin to see the other as they truly are. Flawed, human, separate. And yet, strangely, this clarity doesn't kill love. It deepens it. Because now, love is not a fantasy. It is a choice. So much of modern romance is sold on the myth of completion, two halves making a whole. Jung rejected this. A relationship built on halves is doomed because each partner demands the other carry what they've refused to face. But when you integrate your shadow, reclaim your projections, and develop your anima or animus within, you come to love as a whole person. And then intimacy shifts. It is no longer desperate, hungry, clinging. It is a meeting of two wholes, not two halves scrambling for completion. In projection-based love, the bond is shallow, no matter how intense it feels. You're not connecting to them. You're connecting to your own unconscious through them. In conscious love, the connection is deeper. You are no longer blinded by what you want them to be. You can see their faults without denial, their gifts without exaggeration. You can stand beside them, not beneath the weight of fantasy. This is intimacy not as possession, but as recognition. I see you as you are, and still, I choose you. The siren's pull is bondage, obsession, dependence, loss of self. Real love is freedom. You no longer need the other to complete you. You no longer collapse when they falter. You can walk beside them, separate yet together, whole yet intertwined. Jung believed this kind of love is rare because it requires individuation, but it is also the only love that does not destroy. Love beyond the siren is love without projection. It is not intoxication, but recognition. Not two halves seeking completion, but two wholes choosing connection. Return to the woman we met at the beginning. the one who was swept away by a magnetic stranger at a party. Once, she mistook that pull for destiny. She gave herself completely, only to find betrayal, chaos, heartbreak. She whispered the familiar lament, "Why do I always fall for the wrong people?" But something has changed. Now, when she meets someone whose presence feels overwhelming, she pauses. She feels the old intoxication rising, but instead of being swallowed, she asks, "What part of me am I seeing in them? What trait of mine have I abandoned that they now carry for me?" The siren's song still calls, but this time she recognizes it, not as love, not as fate, but as projection. Instead of chasing the other, she turns inward. The confidence she admired, she begins to cultivate it herself. The selfishness she envied, she learns to honor her own needs. The passion she longed for, she gives permission to awaken within. And slowly, the spell breaks. The toxic pull loosens. The siren stops dragging her into wreckage and begins guiding her back to herself. This is Jung's final revelation. The soulmate you've been chasing is not out there. The soulmate is the unlived parts of your own soul. When you reclaim them, you are no longer half a person hunting completion. You are whole. And from that wholeness, you can finally love another, not as destiny, not as possession, but as recognition. When you fall for the wrong person, it isn't betrayal by love. It is the unconscious summoning you to wholeness. The siren is not your lover. The siren is your soul, calling you to face what you've buried. So the next time someone feels magnetic, irresistible, overwhelming, pause. Ask not, "Is this my soulmate?" Ask instead, "What part of myself am I seeing in them?" Because the truth is this: the siren is never out there. The siren has always been within you, and the day you dare to face it, you stop drowning in wrong love and begin to live in real love. If this spoke to your hidden longings and wounds, subscribe to Factspire TV. Not for fantasies, not for projections, but for truths that reveal the soul behind every love.